This is Sybert signing into Tiberian Dawn Remastered. It's been a minute, but here we are, back with the old original remastered. And let's start off with our non-player in the south. This is UncleDJ. And in the north, as our red GDI and going refinery first, it's CriticalMeds. Alright, CriticalMeds and UncleDJ, these are some custom games that the two of these folks played. Gonna be checking them out because if you want to find a match that's not Nod v Nod, it seems even tougher than it was a few months ago when I was last casting some Tib Dawn Remastered. As I said with my Red Alert Remastered video that I released recently, I haven't been doing a lot of Remastered in the last, at this point, it's almost like 6 months since I played Remastered, and it's been 3 or 4 months now since I've really watched any Tib Dawn Remastered, so I was basically just really busy with work and travel and just didn't have time to jump in the old Remastered. But in this particular case, we got some flamers coming out from UncleDJ, representing that Nod in that green color. And also a pretty quick attack helicopter coming out for him as well. So he's going to be pressuring the infantry on the left side. The economy perhaps a touch slower for UncleDJ, as CriticalMeds focused on economy right out of the gate. Up to 4 refineries now, a full refinery above UncleDJ. But of course UncleDJ is winning a couple of skirmishes early on. Going to be refueling that attack helicopter with just 1 block of ammo before heading on out. So yeah, CriticalMeds, 5 refineries up and running. Lovely split of the refineries as well. 2 over here, 1 in the south on this field, and 2 on this field over here. So really lovely split of refineries, and that should keep him going for the next couple of minutes until all of that Tiberium dries up. But we've got a couple of different games between CriticalMeds and UncleDJ. I don't know that they're a formal series, but these two did play a set of customs against each other. And I thought, well, it's always fun to see games in a series to see how players react and change over the course of a couple of games. Buggy's coming out now for UncleDJ, going to be able to jump on that barracks, get a little bit of a contain going on, especially with the helicopter as well. CriticalMeds desperately trying to switch up between the 2 barracks to get out enough infantry to stand the line. Now the War Factory is out, so a super delay on the War Factory. Been a long time since a War Factory coming out near the 3-minute mark for GDI. Again, the games that I saw months ago, it was a much faster War Factory coming out for whether you're Nod or GDI. I guess Airstrip, but you know. Alright, first medium tank is out. CriticalMeds is going to try and push away the army of buggies, but they might just swing around to the right side of the map and look for another opening over there. CriticalMeds continuing to base creep to the south. Pulls a couple of riflemen over to the right side. That's where the buggies are going. Drops an additional barracks there as well. CriticalMeds going to be responding to the buggies with just mass infantry. 1 tank will be pulled over for the defense as well. The refinery going to be taking a couple of shots here, but UncleDJ is splitting his attacks between several groups of units and a building. So he's trying to thin out the herd and also do some damage. The result is his buggies are just sort of getting picked off, and the downside for CriticalMeds is pretty much only death of infantry. Every single buggy gets cleaned up. Very nicely executed defense by CriticalMeds. The base creep down to the south has been slowed for the current moment. That attack did a good job of slowing that base crawl down. So whether that was going to be a base crawl for base defenses or a base crawl to those Tiberium fields over there, either one has been slowed down. The attack bikes pounce on the tank on the right side, and UncleDJ gets a nice kill there. Very easily done. Single rifleman hanging out. Actually a grenadier, but hanging out in that Tib field, and I wonder if that's one of those bugged units that's either not actually there or is not taking damage from the Tiberium. We'll see if that continues. The rock is indeed there. A couple of flames coming over to the right side. Buggies, or bikes, mostly going to be the follow-up for UncleDJ. And double refinery on the left side field for CriticalMeds and continuing to base crawl. So this is a little bit more normal. And late game economy building up quite nicely for CriticalMeds. We'll see if UncleDJ is able to keep up when it comes to the late game economy. Still continuing to pump a lot of infantry out of his barracks. So this is the way for GDI, apparently. At least in CriticalMeds' opinion. Attack bike's going to be able to clean up good number of grenadiers. Nicely done there. Buggies as well. A couple of buggies mixed in with this army. Tanks are going to be pulled down. Up to 7 tanks on the front lines, potentially. That attack helicopter still has not been dealt with by CriticalMeds. UncleDJ has been getting free damage off with that attack helicopter pretty much all game long. Bike buggy gets pushed back, but again, this attack helicopter might get some free damage off. Infantry pushing down the right side just a smidge. Always sniping the grenadiers is UncleDJ. Very careful about that, always sniping those grenadiers. Couple of riflemen coming in for UncleDJ. Now he's going to be pushing in on the second war factory of CriticalMeds. Going to try and burst it down with the bikes. He won't quite get it. Has to engage the tanks directly, and it'll be up to the tanks to manage the defense for CriticalMeds. UncleDJ is being held off here. The tank's not even rotating particularly far away, and one buggy gets left behind by UncleDJ. CriticalMeds going to be pushing down the center, and we'll be adding on more and more tanks, but also a potential push there on the left side. All infantry over on the left side, so UncleDJ should be able to deal with that. The bike's able to jump on a couple of weakened tanks. Nicely notified there by UncleDJ, able to curb those tanks that were getting a little bit out of hand. With the help of the turret, one tank goes down quickly. The attack bike's dodging in and out, and going to clean up a second tank as well. The helicopter showing up just to add on that bit of damage to the infantry. Always focus fired is that helicopter. Great control there by UncleDJ. The tanks are overwhelming, though. His ground forces not quite as robust as his air forces in this match. And the bike buggy getting overwhelmed. The slow push of tanks has worked out quite nicely for CriticalMeds, but he's not out of the woods yet. He hasn't cleared the front line and done critical infrastructure damage to UncleDJ just yet. He's going to finally get a power plant, and maybe the airstrip is after that. And oh, the money shot as a big group of infantry disappears for CriticalMeds, but the airfield also disappears, and that's leaving just one airstrip for UncleDJ. A hard-fought fight, but it's all focused here in the middle of the map. No swinging around or flanks on this particular case. Going to be going for the refinery, cutting down the late-game economy. I mean, that's already slow harvesting to begin with, but it's going to be even slower now with pretty limited income on the UncleDJ side. He's still got these 2 fields down here, but soon he's going to be under duress and have only 1 field to his name, although he's got $4 grand in the bank, so he's got a little bit of cash to spend. It's certainly not going the way he would like. Power plant gets targeted down. UncleDJ is down and out as the helicopter finally goes down. His attack helicopter, which did so much in this game, finally getting eliminated, and the barracks will fall as well. The Hand of Nod is no more as CriticalMeds, this GDI player, finally overcoming a bit of that Nod powerhouse play. And it turns out the bike-buggy combo didn't win this day. It wins most of the time, but it didn't win this day. Targeting down the power plants once more. CriticalMeds with a just slow, careful push. Everything about the game has been slow and deliberate from CriticalMeds. From that opening, not worried about the early scouting, not worried about the early aggression, just slowly but surely pushing forward. Technically, a Hand of Nod does manage to escape up here to the top right-hand corner, so UncleDJ could try and mount a comeback and go for some kind of mass infantry play in the top right. CriticalMeds and UncleDJ possibly just chatting amongst themselves at this point. I'm not sure what CriticalMeds is waiting for. He's literally just letting more reinforcements come in for UncleDJ. Harvester going to take a little bit of damage from the Grenadiers, and the tanks will finish it off. Look at that, 6, 7, 8 more tanks or something coming in for CriticalMeds. The Harvester's getting targeted down. I assume these guys are friendly with each other, and that's why CriticalMeds didn't just go for the killing stroke there. As his reinforcements, even if he suicided on the airstrip, like if the bikes had killed everything, his reinforcements would have been able to overwhelm everything else. And the slow but sure death of UncleDJ. So UncleDJ trying the classic bike buggy thing. He got the fast attack helicopter that slowed his eco down, and once CriticalMeds hit that critical mass of production, he had base crawled his way through 3 Tiberium fields. He was on his way base crawling to a 4th Tiberium field. We had finally got his 2nd war factory up, and he had a nice spread of barracks as well that CriticalMeds pretty much could not be stopped from that point forward. He was careful in all of his attacks from that point on. He played a little defensive, allowing UncleDJ to attack in with a big group of bike buggy, and then as that attack faltered and CriticalMeds was able to just become more and more efficient in the engagements, UncleDJ had less and less to actually stop the incoming attack when it did finally come in. So CriticalMeds, very careful throughout that game, very slow and deliberate, but let's take a look at another game between UncleDJ and CriticalMeds. And that takes us to the map Electric Avenue for game number 2, which it appears involves some MCV moving from at least one of these players. Once again, in the bottom left-hand corner, playing as the GDI, this is CriticalMeds. And as the nod in the top right-hand corner, playing orange, this is UncleDJ. Barracks into Refinery, and I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing from CriticalMeds, but with that bit of an MCV move to be in a more opportune spot. We saw this, well, I guess we've been seeing this the whole time with Command & Conquer in the early games. Those spawn positions are not necessarily optimized, so a piece of the game is sort of getting into a better spot for your MCV. Ideally, that gives you access to 2 or 3 Tiberium fields, and of course in Red Alert Remastered, war fields. You get a pretty easy base creeping access, and from this MCV spot, you actually have access to 3 pretty big Tiberium fields pretty much right off the bat. So we'll have to see if that factors into how CriticalMeds chooses to play out this game. Attack helicopter is out. UncleDJ putting on that bit of pressure against the infantry once again. Up to 3 refineries and 3 refineries. So much more even spread of refineries so far. Let's see if the war factory is indeed super delayed like it was previously. CriticalMeds pretty limited on that scouting information. Meanwhile, UncleDJ, much more thorough in his layout of the map. Got a lot more map presence around the place and going to be able to see those attacks coming from further away. Once again, this multi-barracks play. 4 refineries, 2 barracks. So I don't know anything about CriticalMeds, but I'm starting to sense a bit of a pattern. We'll see if this continues into some other games. Big eco, big infantry, late war factory, and win the game with it regardless. There's the base crawl up to the north. Airstrip is down, and the first buggy coming on out. First couple buggies, not going into the bikes. Another Grenadier gets cleaned up. CriticalMeds also working on his northern base crawl. Southern base crawl utilizing that war factory and an additional refinery. I guess the refinery was already there. But I guess refinery number 5 should be up here. We'll see. Grenadiers sneak into the base. They get a nice look at things. 2 refineries on the northern field, 3 refineries on the southern field for UncleDJ. Boogie's going to be taking some shots at these Grenadiers. Just careful use of very few units, especially coming out here from UncleDJ. Happy to lead with one buggy and then cycle out for some other buggies with some deliberate micro there. Not all of the Grenadiers being utilized here, but now going to be cycling in a couple more as the reinforcements come in for UncleDJ. More and more buggies. The attack helicopter going to be easily able to swing this into the favor of UncleDJ. CriticalMeds gets the kill on another buggy for the current moment, but 6 remain, and the pressure will keep on. But once again, it's going to be up to just... Oh, there's actually the sell-off of the MCV, so happy with the 2 war factories he's got and no refinery in this northern position. It's just going to be an all-out rush, possibly, through the northern part of the map, and to keep the pressure on, to keep UncleDJ away from CriticalMeds' base. Let's see if it works out. The push is beginning. Tanks being rallied up from the south, and the infantry are actually being a bit of the front line against these buggies. Now the tanks are finally here in good enough numbers. The time has been bought, and no anti-air means this helicopter will be unopposed, although maybe not forever. Tank's going to be getting into a good position potentially against these buggies. The buggies trying to cycle around to get to the infantry and bypass them, maybe even going for power plants. A little bit exposed here on the north side of the base, but UncleDJ can't fight the army head on. He can't fight it straight up. He's going for the war factory, but UncleDJ cycling around both sides of that base to the north and to the south, and actually maybe just an inefficient attack path either way you go. Bikes coming in. They're going to be able to jump on one tank. The reinforcements are here, but they're not engaging with the bikes as of yet. Could just be going for the airstrip straight out, but no. CriticalMeds decides to start targeting down the bikes. Nice cycling of the bikes, pulling some of them back, perhaps pulling too many of them back. We'll see if this airstrip is able to survive for very long as the bikes come back in for another pass at the tanks. 2 more tanks remaining on the south side, one cycling up to the north, a little bit further away from the bikes, trying to escape there as the bikes get eaten up. The infantry get overwhelmed, and it looks like the push from CriticalMeds will fail. The Grenadiers sneaking in from the south, maybe a bit of reinforcements, and maybe able to take down a couple of these refineries in the north and cut down on the eco of UncleDJ. No, he's going to go for the power plant. I wasn't sure if it was the power plant or the airstrip. He's going to go for the power plant and the kill there, but the flame units are here, and those flamers managing to get the kill on the big group of CriticalMeds Grenadiers. The power plant survives. Everything is coming up UncleDJ. Wave 2 is on the way. The first wave has been pushed back, and Wave 2 is looking to be a bit weaker. Even one tank getting caught in the north. CriticalMeds making a mistake there, but he will be able to jump on the airstrip, or on the helipad there, and knock that down. Couple of flamers managed to sneak by. They were going for the big cluster of Grenadiers, and they nearly got it, but the flame tank is here on the front line. It's going to be tangoing with the tanks directly, and that won't be a recipe for success. Almost gets the infantry, but at the same time, the other forces of UncleDJ able to do the job and thin out the infantry force of CriticalMeds. Another flame tank comes in for UncleDJ, but it gets easily mopped up. 2 more flame tanks ready to pounce, but with only 1 airstrip production, it's a little bit slower than UncleDJ would like. He hasn't been able to get that other airstrip up and running with the lack of MCV, it seems. Both players selling off their MCVs and going for the cash infusion over the long-term production. Another flame tank gets targeted down, and I believe that is the last flame tank for UncleDJ. I don't think he managed to sneak one out somewhere. Instead, it's going to be up to the bikes. It's going to be up to the flame units. And the bikes and the tanks engaging. But of course, the tanks will win that in a 1v1. There's the squish of a couple of flamethrowers. And still more tanks pushing out. As you can see, that war factory getting extremely damaged, but still keeping that upgraded production with the 2 war factories. Coming so close to cleaning up one of those war factories and slowing the production, but it just wasn't enough from UncleDJ. hanging on by a thread as the War Factory, the airstrip, is getting targeted down. The bikes aren't strong enough in their numbers, and CriticalMeds might be able to strike a killing blow if he can just close in on that airstrip. More flamethrowers coming in for UncleDJ. The bikes cycling around and getting targeted down one by one. The tank's getting lower in health, but ultimately standing strong with too much HP against these bikes. CriticalMeds has found such an awkward angle here on the right side of the map for UncleDJ to be able to defend, and he just simply can't hold it. There's the kill of the airstrip and the destruction of UncleDJ here in game number 2. I'm enjoying these games, a little bit slower paced than some of the stuff we saw earlier on in Tib Dawn, or at least that I saw earlier on in Tib Dawn. I'm excited to learn more about what these players are doing and how they're choosing to play out these games in another match between UncleDJ and CriticalMeds. And that takes us on to the map Heavy Metal. So 3 different maps between these two players in the top left-hand corner. Once again, plain nod. This is UncleDJ. And in the bottom right-hand corner with the MCV moves, this is CriticalMeds. All right, straight into the refinery once again. Now, this is not... I guess here the MCV is up against this little bit of terrain. So I think that makes this little section impassable. So therefore, there is actually less surface area for the MCV, and you get a little bit more defense out of that location. This location, I guess, is going to be a no mini-map kind of game in this particular case because of that little corner section. Looks like some flamethrowers chasing around a grenadier here in the middle of the map. The rifleman will actually get the kill. Nope, the grenadier got the kill, or the flamethrower got the kill on that grenadier regardless. So once again, the spread of units. The barracks first for UncleDJ into the attack helicopter. Once again, a fast helipad coming out from UncleDJ, and I like this. I do not mind that that this guy is not rushing for bikes and buggies every single game. I like this attack helicopter opening, although in these games it has not worked out for him. He's opened attack helicopter for the 3rd time in a row now, and the first 2 times he lost those games. So this attack helicopter opening is a nice idea, but the follow-up always falls flat. And we've seen this now 3 games in a row from a CriticalMeds. Faster economy, bigger economy sooner, delay the War Factory, survive by delaying with infantry. Although this time, the refinery taking a bit of damage. The grenadiers are certainly close enough to clean them up, and 1 flamer will get a kill on 2 grenadiers, but ultimately the refinery survives, the harvester keeps harvesting, and that attack helicopter does not change the state of the game. Nice sneaky grenadier, I love that from CriticalMeds, managing to get a grenadier around the side. He sees the timing of the airstrip, he sees that power plant as well. Actually, he barely technically does also see the refinery, so I guess if you want to really draw out the advantage, he also gets the advantage of seeing that last refinery timing. Grenadiers, 5 of them, tightly packed together, will get eliminated extremely quickly. Nicely handled there for UncleDJ, able to clean that up, and a fresh 2nd refinery on this expansion field in the north. That is the 3rd field under the control of UncleDJ, and 5 refineries in total. So he's powered up, he is good to go, but the spread from CriticalMeds is just looking better. 2 refineries in the north, 2 in the middle, I guess, and 1 in the south, as well as the 2 refineries on the starting field. A 3rd barracks getting dropped down. This one is a little bit back away from the front lines, and the base creep is going to be cut off potentially here. No reinforcements are fast enough. This could be the time for UncleDJ to start the snowball rolling, and the attack helicopter is here to take a couple of pot shots at these grenadiers. 1 power plant down, and the riflemen going to join together with the grenadiers to overwhelm these attack bikes. Buggies. Again, nice cycling from UncleDJ. He's trying to properly control his units, and he's mostly executing that correctly as well as one can in Tib Dawn. Going to be leading with the 2 weakened buggies in this particular case, so not getting extra value from them. Grenadiers sneaking by on the left side. That's a refinery kill over there by the Grenadiers. So CriticalMeds, his defense was weak with that power plant being attacked, but it's because he had snuck what, 10 Grenadiers or something along the left side of the map and manage to get a refinery kill against UncleDJ. UncleDJ with the bikes will get cleaned up. Goodbye, recon bikes. Nicely handled there, and it's all Grenadiers. Again, the late war factory just now coming up for CriticalMeds. So many Grenadiers. I love the way he's splitting them off in these different groups this time, splitting up the attacking forces. And UncleDJ knows about this. He's got a unit up there in the north, and his buggies are not going to be responding to it. They're just here on the front lines with this big mass of Grenadiers. He's not worried about the Grenadiers sneaking along the top. He's instead got some Grenadiers here on the left side to worry about. And now he should be responding to the Grenadiers in the north. No, a second group of Grenadiers through the middle of the map. A little bit of a split there. Enough to kind of pull some of this AoE away when they explode. But ultimately, still, just all Grenadiers here. First couple of medium tanks are coming out. Second war factory is up and running. And actually a sell-off of a refinery to get another power plant up and running. And there we go. CriticalMeds is going to jump on the airstrip. Or no, he's going to go directly for the bikes. He's going to get all 4 bikes freshly spawned in here. Meanwhile, the Grenadiers going for the barracks, but it's not going to be enough. And in the north, the Grenadiers versus the attack bikes, narrowly avoiding a catastrophe here as the Grenadiers maybe get cleaned up. They're not actually being controlled by CriticalMeds, so perhaps that attack falling flat is more because CriticalMeds let it fall flat and less because UncleDJ did anything particularly right. Attack bike swinging up to the north. The buggy gets eliminated. The flamer also goes down. And now this refinery on the front lines is going to get cleaned up. There's still some economy, but cutting down any economy for UncleDJ is not going to be good. And a power plant goes down as well. The refinery, the harvester gets eliminated, but the flame tank will get the cleanup. However, the reinforcements from CriticalMeds don't stop coming. Just more and more reinforcements coming in for CriticalMeds. Now going to be splitting them. Tanks to the north. Grenadiers to the south, harvesters being called off the line, but there's too many Grenadiers, or is there? They get the refinery anyways. They're going to get the power plant, as it looks like the harvesters are called off the attack. And yes, those Grenadiers finish off that power plant. Once again, CriticalMeds getting the overwhelming force, and the tanks weren't even as much a part of it this particular time. It was mostly Grenadiers doing the legwork for CriticalMeds. Going to be cycling up to the north, or rather expanding up to the north with the use of those silos. The medium tanks will call off the attack for just a moment. Good number of flame tanks have been constructed by UncleDJ. He might be able to slow down the expansion to the north, but will he be able to completely stop CriticalMeds? I doubt it. At the very least, it'll be a bit of a base race scenario, and in that case, CriticalMeds has less stuff to kill. Although the flame tanks will do a pretty good job of eliminating these silos as they head up to the north. How many shots does it actually take for a flame tank to kill a silo? Basically 3, as there goes the silo there with those double strokes as the flame tanks put down that silo. Going to be splitting the flame tanks, one going for refineries or silos, one going for a refinery directly. And unfortunately, that flame tank won't be able to accomplish its goal. It got close, but ultimately CriticalMeds doing too much critical damage, and UncleDJ is going to have to find himself another party to play at because CriticalMeds is just overwhelming him. There goes the MCV. The hope of rebuilding disappears, and CriticalMeds takes the 3-0 in this series. Overall, an interesting set of games. Yes, a bit one-sided. UncleDJ never able to get past that overwhelming mid-game. And I guess against a guy like CriticalMeds, you have to go big aggression early on or find some way to break his economic advantage. But of course, in that case, if it was me, I would go a ton of flamers, and CriticalMeds would have better control of his Grenadiers than I have of my flamethrowers. And then he would just kill all of my flamethrowers, and my money would be ill spent. But perhaps UncleDJ would have been able to do something a little bit better. But I guess you just have to go like big on the infantry early on, or you have to have more successful harass than UncleDJ did. But CriticalMeds is pretty good at defending with just Grenadiers, so you have to come up with something which beats the Grenadiers, and I guess out-attack, maybe like attack 3 locations at once? But CriticalMeds has got this particular match sewed up quite nicely. He counters UncleDJ's style very thoroughly. And UncleDJ just looking a bit like he doesn't have an answer to what CriticalMeds was doing. So that'll do it for these 3 games. A little bit of a change of pace from the other Tib Dawn stuff that I've done. But we're going to take a look at more Tib Dawn at some point in the future. Thank you all very much for watching. And this is Sybert signing out.